Do you have a question? Come on, don't be shy. All right, just catch you twitching or something. Who's got a question? Come on. What do you want to know?
Okay, thank you.
All right, well, great, pal. Thank you.
We'll start off funny. What's the best prank you've ever played on your actors?
You know, all right. When I did Mew Mew, 4 kids, one of the actors, this girl, her name's Heather Donahue. She's a freaking genius. So good. She's 18 years old, right? You know, this was like her first gig like this. Like she'd been an actor and whatnot, but this was like her first voice acting job. So, and she played Kiki, I think is the character's name. But like with every episode, I would just be like, okay, well in this episode, Zoe gets cancer and she's gonna die, and she'd be like, oh my god, and she would, and no matter what I said, you know, I'd be like, well, you know, in this episode, you know, your dog gets hit by a car and then you eat him, and then you know, so, but she would always totally buy it. But sometimes she would be, because she was, you know, a diligent actor, she'd be in there, and she'd be like, I'd tell her some horrible thing like that, she'd be like, okay, so, and how am I feeling about that? And I'd be like, Jesus, Ken. Anyway, so I used to do that to her all the time. And the other thing that actors like to do to each other, and this is something that, because I don't, with a lot of the shows I do, like Pokemon or whatever, I don't just direct it, I record it too. So, that actors will leave little like landmines for other actors and put in some outtakes that you'll just leave in, you know, so, and they'll be like, please play this before this character does this line or this scene. So there's a lot of that happens. That stuff doesn't see the light of day because we'd all get sued, but, you know, it is actually a lot of fun in the studio.
I actually do that the reverse. I want to be sure that I get the take that I want first, and then we drop that bomb in, because I always, after I've got what I think is what I want, I always go back and listen to it within context.
Sure.
I play the line before and the line after. So usually at that point when I know that it works, I'm like, well, let me just listen to it one more time, and I turn the mic on to go drop the bomb. Nice. And then they get the laugh and relax. But probably the worst prank that I pull, and almost every actor who's worked with me at some point has been a victim of it. We have a button that we push that turns the mic on. And when I take my finger, they can't hear anything. So what I'll do is intentionally leave my finger on the button, and I'll be like, yeah, that is great. And I'll leave my finger, and I'm like, okay, is there anything we can do? Okay, let's keep going. Or we've got one actor who is, I will sometimes turn to my engineer and go, okay, just crank up the acting filter on a little bit. Well, my favorite thing to do, and there's one actor in particular that it always gets, and that's the actor Blake Shepard.
Yeah.
I will go, okay, good, Blake, yeah, I need to try that one more time, and this time I need you to, I need a little more acting. Yeah, I need some more acting. Or I'll say, this time can you, could you make it good? And he's such a young kid, and he'll be like, and and I'm like, I'm messing with you.
Oh, okay. Blake actually got to do a turnaround and play a prank on his director for one show. Oh, wow. He got it. I can't remember what show it was, but the director was Don Rush. And Don was infamous for occasionally just stepping out of the room and being gone for a few minutes at a time, just running around doing whatever. And so he leaves, and just before they're about to do a scene, and Blake is like, he's going to be gone for a bit. So he goes out of the booth, sits down, and changes the next couple lines for his character on the directorship. And it comes to this very pivotal moment. It's the final fight between his character and one of the leads. And Don comes back, and they're like, okay, we're going to go to the next scene. Here's what's going on. He explains the whole scene to Blake, and Blake and the engineer are just, you know, keeping straight faces. And the initial line, I believe, is something to the effect of, you know, before you die, I just want you to know that I never forgave you. And so it goes in, it's like, okay, ready, and go. And here comes Blake. you die, I just want you to know I've always loved you. And Dawn, just immediately was, wait, what? And he's sitting there, he's chicken strips, he's calling people down to the translation office, and he's just going absolutely nuts. And Blake and the engineer finally just could not take anymore. They let him go on for 10 minutes. Trying to find out what was going on. It's like, okay, this is what it's written. Is this accurate? Is this what's going on? Wait, what is going on? And it was...
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Bravo. What about you?
I picked on Rena Palencia a lot during Romeo and Juliet because she's wonderful and she's so quick on her feet with the wit. I mean, really, she drives me nuts. I love her, but she's like a little sister who just knows how to poke.
Yeah.
And she's brilliant. And so I was thrilled to work with her, but we would always have, especially directing that show, she would always get me, always. And she loves playing pranks on me, and that's, oh God. But, for example, I would be telling her, some pivotal scene where her character's very emotional, and I'll get kind of animated in describing it to her where she needs to be, very sort of stage direction, You've all seen it. It's ridiculous. Everyone has an impression of the animation, and it's acting, and I go, where that comes from, yeah. And so I'm sitting there, and I'm getting into it, and I'm getting kind of quiet, I'm getting loud, you need to do this because you have to understand that this is where she is right now. She has to risk her life to save the man she loves, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And Rita just goes, wow, Tatum, that is really deep. Thank you. So I get her back for that. Like a few minutes later, there's the wonderful scene in Romeo and Juliet where they get married in the church. And, and there's this beautiful, I'm having a brain fart this morning. I think it's from Handel's Messiah. But it might be something from Haydn. It's a beautiful choral piece that Brina actually knows because she's a classically trained singer. Went to conservatory. And while we were just sort of watching the scene that she didn't have any dialogue in for a few moments, she just started kind of going, oh, this is great. I love this piece of music. This is wonderful. And she just started singing along with it. And it was gorgeous. But just to mess with her, I turned to my engineer and Terry Doty, who was interning with me at the time, and said, let's just leave. So we got up and walked out, because she couldn't see us from the booth because it was dark, and so we got up and walked out, and there's like this 2-minute montage where it's nothing but just her singing. She's like, no, we just let her go. And we just kind of stood out the door just listening. She's like, she's still going. She has no idea. And she would sing, and then she would offer a little, this piece right here, actually, it's really, really funny, because this is actually supposed to be between this person and this person, and she would sing some more. That was horrible. She would sing some more, and then like 2 or 3 minutes, and finally we just hear the sing. Hey! So we went back and we're like, got you.
So some of the jokes are not ours. I was recording with Mike McFarland, and one of those brilliant jokes I've ever seen was played by the engineer.
Yes!
Mike and I were talking about something, and I couldn't hear him at one point, and I said, what? And this was an engineer that records everything. So he had me saying what? So Mike goes through this explanation and explains to me exactly what he needs. And I'm all set to record, and all of a sudden I hear my voice say, what? So Mike breaks it down and explains it, and he gets to the end, and right as I'm about to say something, I hear my voice say, what? And so Mike rephrases it, and explains it a different way, and by this point I'm leaning at the window to watch, and Grundy, the engineer, just looks at me and goes, Mike is explaining, and he finishes, and you hear me go, what? Chris, it's not that difficult. And he looks up and he sees me standing there. And all of a sudden, with my lips not moving, he hears me go, what? But yeah, that was not me though. That was the engineer. And I was
That's a good one.
wow.
Yeah. No, you know what? When you saying with the singing thing, it reminded me of something you did when I worked at Central Park Media, the show Pat Labor. Anybody seen that? There you go. Well, the girl who played Noah, the lead in the show, she was rather gullible, and we did this thing, and we filmed it too. We just had a camera on it, and we're like, I'm like, you guys got to tell her that she has to sing the theme song, the closing theme. I was like, but just make her do it. Don't let her practice. Don't even, because the video they were using, I think it had actually in the Japanese, it was subtitled in English, like in the original Japanese version for the closing theme. I'm like, yeah, just sing the subtitles, go, go, go. And she's like, okay. And she's like, trying to sing it, and she's like all smiles and like really going for it. It was horrible.
That's
And